one last thing, really, in terms of summary. I think there's something here to read sort of sideways, but this is going to say the word readiness. So this is readiness for coaching, just kind of a summary of what we've got with the stuff up there so far. Okay. We know we've got a coach. We know we've got this wonderful coachee over here. In terms of language, I don't want to think of the word coachee, but I did try and find another word along the journey, but it's kind of like client, player. No, it doesn't really work, so we're kind of stuck with it for now. But if you can find a better word, then that'll be your book, and I'll buy it off you. Okay. Where they're kind of positioned is, I think there's three paradigms of coaching. And by the way, I use threes a lot because it's the most efficient shape in the world. You know, the triangle is 3, so I could do 7, but it's like, oh, but 3 of them are all the same. You know, so kind of keep it in 3s. 2 isn't enough, and we've seen that. I need a third question there because you put ticks on chart number 1 in 3 different places. So in terms of number 1, if you like, I'm always going to make the assumption the coach, this is a line of readiness for coaching, what we talk about. The coach is ready, they're at their line. Okay, that's what they do. They're looking forward to it. They've got an ILM level 17 in their belt, etc., etc. They are ready and ready to go. Okay, we know coachee readiness could be around 40%. So there's your sort of percentage up here now. There's a gap between the two, and kind of what you're doing is going, oh, are you supposed to be coaching you? Are you going to turn up at all? Are you come in? You know, it's that kind of thing. There's a gap between the two. We've talked about that, and I think that's pretty much where we're at. If that research stands, it's at 40%. I can't do the maths quick enough to do 90 plus 30 plus 25, but whatever your kind of in the room average is, what's that, 55, 145, it's about just under 50%, isn't it, your average in the room? You guys obviously completely blew us out of the water, but you know. So that's our traditional paradigm as it stands. What we can do in the guy I just mentioned earlier, paradigm number 2, you've got the coach ready again, and coachee on that line of readiness as well, and that's where you can literally get straight into the narrative of why are you here. Not why are you here as a coachee, why are you here in terms of your business goals. Okay? His business goals are about confidence and about promotion. We can get to that really quickly. Sometimes, yes, we have to backtrack, because I'd say to him, well, how do you feel about this? Okay, and this is where this moves around a little bit, you know, because to say someone's really coachable is fine, but if I ask them about their emotions, maybe they're not so coachable about emotions. You know, he was a finance guy, so he's more analytical than he was hard, but you know, but fundamentally you've got that, and maybe a little bit of overlap there between the two of you. Okay. Then the third paradigm of coaching, which we're not at yet, and this is either your book or mine, so I'm totally not here yet, but this is where I want it. This is my why. I do what I do and why I want to get through where we want to get to. Coach ready, coachee ready, and actually forget the words coach and coachee anymore, and that would get rid of our crap word there. We actually just end up with one being, one entity, a relationship here that actually isn't coach and coachee anymore. 2 people collaborating. Nancy Klein calls them thinking partners. Again, no words, oh, I like it, there's some winks going around the room, I like it. That's what we want to get to. In terms of coaching culture, and not now necessarily, because that is quite a tough task. Let's just focus on, let's get people through the door. You know, that's what we want. Okay, so I'll be really transparent with you here. This is something that I've just done for the very, very first time. Okay, in terms of change, a great question you can ask in any organisational change is what do we need to get rid of? Okay, so what I'm saying is get rid of, ready for this, external, one-to-one coaching. I know you talked earlier there's a big difference about executive coaching and internal coaching. There absolutely is. I think we'll get to a point where we'll get rid of this external one-to-one coaching. And I'm saying that as an external one-to-one coach. That's the highest priced product I sell. But I think I've got to get rid of it. Okay? So I'll be really transparent. For coaching, this is a freebie by the way, so there's not even, I'll make a tenner off the book. Alright? I can charge up to $2,000 for a 1 day's prorated coaching relationship. Okay? So it's quite high price. There's a lot of people like me going, well, I want to keep that alive. That's really important. But what about just taking that out? Because I don't think long term it will serve organisations. We were talking about budgets earlier. What can you do with a $2,000 coaching assignment? That is your budget gone, and you're left with no post-it notes, as you were talking about earlier. You know? So what I've just done for the first time, and this is just exploratory, I just want to kind of throw it out there, is I've actually said to someone, want to request this, can you do some one-to-one coaching externally, blah, 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 I've got a leader. And I said, yes I can. Normally costs about $2,000, but I really want to work like this. Do you think we can work like this rather than like that? Transactional, transformational. Can we work like that? Yes, we can. Therefore, Stuart will learn from coachee, if that's the word we still use, to just define these two things. Okay. So £2,000 becomes, well, what do you think you should pay for this? Because what will Stuart learn along the way? And that obviously goes down. Okay. So the best coaching I do, I learn from that coachee. It's a great question as a coach to ask coachee, what will I learn from you? And the times I ask that right at the early start of the session, contracting, they go, what? No, you're supposed to be telling me how to be a better boss. Like, no, not really. You know. So what will the two of you learn along that journey? Alrighty? So we're not there yet. I know we've got some work to do, but we want to get there. Okay? But what does that look like? And really, where are you on that? Kind of 1, 2, and 3, really. Any thoughts on that last one? Because I do need some help on it. If you want to co-write a book with me or something like that, because it's, you know, it's
I'm really interested in that last one.
Yeah.
Simply because if you can go to that place, and I think you have to be very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Or it
Yeah.
maybe makes you quite vulnerable. But what you get, the outcomes are absolutely amazing. So when you can drop all the barriers and really have a proper interaction with another human being, person, then actually the growth is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's something that both managers and I do now.
Yeah.
But it took a huge amount of courage and vulnerability and, oh my God, this is really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Actually, when you can have a real conversation, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So we talked a bit about ego, didn't we?
Yeah.
Guides in it, but actually there's still, I think, as an organisation, we're still very early in our coaching journey, and there's a lot of ego still involved because, you know, the people who ask me to coach them, the people who I get offered as coachees, you know, it's an exec level coaching qualification, but I don't get to coach executives because you know, you could get into a whole discussion about that. Most of the people I'm working with are, you know, the sort of band 7 manager level. Yeah. And I think that's we're way off that because you know the senior people I have coached who are open to it, who are just happy to have a conversation with a fellow human being who actually I know stuff you don't know, but equally you know an awful lot of stuff I don't know. Gosh, where can we go with this? They're few and far between at the moment. Those conversations.
Yeah, and it's sad, the perception. It's the perception that people come with. I couldn't possibly be coached by somebody that only worked at that level. I need to go out and pay £2,000 because you know, I'm getting where you know it's most probably not that different.
But that's the culture of the NHS. That's the world we've grown up in. We are very conscious of hierarchy and you know, seniority, and it reminds me of that who was it, the John Cleese sketch, you know, I'm much more important. You know, that's we're still there, entrenched in that. But not always, you know, there are pockets of you know, like Nikki described, there are pockets out there, and we just have to recognise those and then capitalise on them and get people to talk about the richness that comes out of those conversations then, isn't it?
Well, I think, I mean, the other thing to say, I know when you think of that number, you know, I met an old school friend who was being coached, it was like that was full time, isn't it, man? It was like, you know, buyer beware, because people don't know what to buy, they just didn't know. You know, so I think that's actually not too bad, but again, I think if I'm benefiting from that,